Welcome to Tuesday terminology class. Before we get into class, there's a couple of announcements that I want to make. Number one, remember that tomorrow's class is at 11:30 because we're going to be going through Z codes. And that's to make everybody feel more comfortable because we go through these chapters so fast. But there's nothing saying that we can't back up on our Wednesdays and cover things that we don't feel comfortable with. So we're changing that to 11:30 so that we have more time for class. Let's see what else. 4 o'clock class on Thursday. I'll be sending that link out as soon as the instructor sends me her link for Zoom. And and I think pretty much that is all the announcements for this week. But next week we have July the 4th. Where did June go? I'm still going, okay, where did June go? I mean, wasn't it just now June? But anyway, so next week on July the 4th, which is Tuesday, we will have no school. I am taking a personal day off on Monday. Y'all know the class that I had y'all practice to get into Google Classroom. That's going to be happening next week, but I'm going to give you a new code because I had to do different days. Right now, the one thing that I know about Unitech and the IT people is it can always change. But I'm going to try to make that process as easy as possible for you. So, yes, ma'am, Miss Victoria.
I don't know about the Google class.
Okay.
I think that was while I was sick.
All right. So we will probably be announcing more on that on Thursday. But if you don't have like Google Classroom, if you don't have an account made for Google Classroom, I need you to make one because we're switching e-learning platforms. We're going to be going from Jenzabar to Moodle. But in that in-between time, when we're getting Moodle up and running, we have to have that middle ground. So Google Classroom will be our middle ground. It is not going to be much different for you guys. It may just be a tiny bit different. I know that Ashley, Stacy, and Abigail and I practiced that last week. But we call it the going dark period. You guys will no longer be able to get into Jenzabar. But again, you're not going to have to worry about assignments because you're going to be able to get in Google Classroom. Okay.
So is it an app?
What, sweetie?
Is it an app?
Yes, it's just Google Classroom. A lot of the kids use it for school.
Okay, I'll find it.
All right. Anything else that you guys want to know about that? I just don't want you to stress. I'm stressed enough for all of us, I promise you. So you don't stress because I have a whole list. Make sure I get grade books. Make sure I get this. Make sure I have a list this long to make sure, but it's going to be fine. My day off on Monday, I say it's a day off, but you guys know, even on the weekends, if you text me and I can get to you, I will get to you. Matter of fact, if you text me and I'm driving down the road on a Saturday going to flea markets, I usually call you back and say, I'm driving, what's up? So I do answer. Although sometimes I'm like, when I get up in the morning and look at my text, I'm going, that girl texted me at 12:34 a.m. Has she lost her mind? I'm not up at that time. It's in Google. I sign in with my Gmail. Okay. Do y'all see that little chat from Abigail? So just since you know about it, go ahead. I know Ashley, you've got it. Abigail, you've got it. Stacy, you've got it. Sean and Victoria, that's just on a to-do list. Before next week, get a Google account. It's free. It's not anything you have to pay for. So we're going to do medical terminology. And the first thing we're going to start out with is something a little different today is we're going to do a little video. I have added all of our medical terms to our Quizlet. You guys remember that Quizlet? Have you been practicing? No. Victoria, have you been practicing? No. It's okay. Because one of the things I'm going to show you today is where you can go and find these terms in your CPT. Did you guys remember yesterday I said to have your CPT ready this morning? If you don't have your there we go. That's what we need, that CPT manual. So the very first thing we're going to do before we get into our CPT manual is let's watch our little medical terminology video. It's only 10 minutes. And we're going to probably spend another 10 minutes just on class stuff. So it's not going to be long. Share my screen.
For learning about medical terminology for surgery. So we're going to look at different prefixes and
hear?
suffixes that relate to surgery and other
Can you hear?
surgical processes. So to begin, we're going to specifically start looking at surgical processes. The suffix ectomy means excision or removal. So you can think of ectomy, excision. Splenectomy is a word that means removal of the spleen. Another suffix, otomy, means incision or cutting. So you can think of tracheotomy for this word. The next one is the suffix sect. So this means to cut. So you can think of dissect. Another suffix that we use often is ostomy. So ostomy really means to make a hole. So you can think of ileostomy, to make a hole in the ileum. The prefix stome is related to ostomy. Stome means artificial opening or hole. So a stoma is generally referred to as an artificial hole that's made. And the suffix plasty means surgical repair. So you can think of tympanoplasty, surgical repair of the tympanic membranes. Other surgical processes include the suffix pexy, which means fixation. So you can think of orchiopexy. The suffix raphy or raphy means suturing. So you can think of enteroraphy, suturing of the intestines. The suffix desis means surgical union. So you can think of fasciodesis, a surgical union of the fascia. Another suffix is chlysis. So chlysis means irrigation or washing, proctoclysis, those types of words. And another commonly used suffix includes centesis. So centesis means a removal of fluid or aspiration. You can think of arthrocentesis or pericardiocentesis, those types of words. The suffix tripsy means crushing or to crush something. The suffix puncture really means puncture. So you can think of words like acupuncture. And the prefixes per and dia mean going through or going through something else. So you can think of percutaneous, going through the skin, or dialysis, those types of words. So to continue, the suffix opsy means examination or inspection. So you think of words like autopsy or biopsy. The suffix metri means to measure. So the next one is the suffix scopy, which means to view. So you can think of, for viewing, you can think of an ultrasound. You can think of words like endoscopy when you think of this. The suffix graph or graphy means the process of recording. So graph really means the recording itself. Graphy means the process of recording. And similarly, the suffix gram also means recording. So you can think of electrocardiogram. Now we'll move on to looking at different surgical instruments and other diagnostic instruments and evaluations. So the first one we're going to look at is the prefix echo, sono, and phono. These all mean or denote sound. So you can think of echocardiogram. The next one is electro. Electro means pertaining to electrical charge. So again, electrocardiogram is another word we can think of for this. A scope itself means an instrument for viewing. So scopy was to view. A scope is an instrument for viewing. And we talked about otomies, but a tome, so the prefix or the suffix tome means an instrument for incision. And the suffix meter means an instrument to measure. So you can think of thermometer for this word. And we're also going to talk about tissue grafts and other types of grafting surgeries. But first, we're going to look at the descriptors for different types of grafts.
All right, aren't you glad I don't have my face on. So yes, lots of great information, right? Lots and lots and lots of information in a very monotone voice. Thank goodness that I am a very sweet person and I didn't make you listen to the whole thing, because I'm going to tell you why. I want you to take your CPT manual. And I want you to look at the bottom of your CPT manuals, and it starts with Roman numerals. And I want you to find XX, which means 10, but is it 10 or 20? I can't remember. Anyway, just look for XX.
So they all relate to either
I'm trying to turn
the
it off.
graft
Yeah.
coming from the patient.
Let me know when you get there. Y'all, it's my boss. Hang on just a minute. Hi, Miss Jessica. I'm in class. Okay, thank you. Okay, bye. Okay, let me know when you're there. Thumbs up when you're there. You're there, Victoria? Miss Stacy, are you there? Ashley, you there? Yep. Sean, you there?
Yes, ma'am, I found it.
All right, so anatomical and procedural review, prefixes, suffixes, and roots. And look at that. You have numbers. Mono means one. Then surgical procedures, synthesis, we just went over that one. Ectomy, ostomy, otomy. So you see all of this is listed in your CPT manual, and it even goes into the next page. So if you have, for example, if you have a medical term on a quiz at any time and you can't remember what it means, are you now going to know where to go to find out?
Oh, yeah.
See, so I'm familiar with the terms, but remember when I tell you, you don't have to be an expert at the terms. Knowing where to go to find what you need in your manuals is so important. So does that make you feel better?
Oh, yeah. I love it.
I was waiting for everybody to get their manuals in before I showed you where this was.
Yes.
But these are the ones that you're going to be using most often, because these are the ones they have in the CPT manual. Is it every medical term known to man ever? No, it's not, but it's the most used. So commonly used, right? So I'm going to continue to go over medical terminology, and we're going to continue to look at some things and relate that medical terminology to some coding so we can expand our Tuesday class. But to me, if we just keep going over the words and then adding them to Quizlet, it doesn't really get us anywhere, right? Because by the time you're on medical term 50, you don't remember what 1 through 5 were. So this is a way for us to say, okay, I don't remember what that means, but I know where to go in my CPT to find it, right? So we'll continue to practice. I'll continue to practice what you need to practice in Quizlet, just so you can. What does itis mean? Does anybody remember what itis means?
Inflammation.
Inflammation. So I want you to be able to the basic ones like ectomy. What is ectomy? We should know, it's right there. Surgical removal. Periocentesis. We know that whenever you have the periocentesis, amniocentesis is what I'm trying to say. When a pregnant woman has an amniocentesis, what do they do? They stick that needle into there and they pull out some fluid, right? It's the removal of fluid. So there are going to be things that you're going to remember just because you know what that procedure actually is. So any questions? No, I'm going to share my screen and we're just going to talk about just a couple. So I just showed a picture of what you're looking at in your CPT right now, but I pulled out some that I really think, I'm going to talk about the ones that I really think you're going to see so much of. You're going to see, oh, I'm not sharing, hang on, so sorry. Now here we go. Ectomy, you're going to see ectomy a lot. So the surgeon cuts something out. Ostomy, surgeon made an opening. Colonoscopy. Plasty, change the shape of something, or surgical repair. When you have a rhinoplasty, do you guys remember what rhino means? It's the nose, right? Remember I said a rhino has a big old nose? Helps you remember. It's silly, but it helps you remember. It's the surgical repair of the nose. So you see how knowing what some of those things mean automatically gives you knowledge. Let's see. Let me go to the next page. Now, ology and ologist are very important. That's a specialist or the study of. So a cardiologist, what is that? What is a cardiologist, Sean?
Is it like a heart doctor, cardiologist?
Yeah, it's a doctor that specializes in the heart. So your ology.
Yeah.
So oma means tumor. Okay. This is going to be so silly, but y'all know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is? Always says, oma is a tumor. I don't know where it came from, but that I remember, I never forget. It's silly, I know, but that's what works for me. And so those are two that you're going to see a lot. So oma means tumor, and tumor does not necessarily mean cancerous, right? Because it can be benign. But yeah, that's it. That's really, next week, we're going to up our game in medical terminology. And we're really going to start looking at putting together some words that will help you. I always tell myself, if I know what the back half means, then I am halfway there, right? I may not remember it. Maybe I know what the beginning means, like nephr. Who remembers what nephr is? Nephrology. Abigail's going, let me look back. That was some of the first ones. Is it liver?
It's studying kidneys.
Kidneys, doggone it. So a nephrologist specializes in the kidney. So, you know, it's those little things that's going to, when you start reading medical records, what's going to happen is all of a sudden you're not going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Intimidated by the medical records that you have to read, because you're going to understand a lot of the words that are there. Even if you don't need the words, it's going to automatically make you more prepared. Also, let me tell you something. When you're speaking to doctors, you can't go at them like, hey, yo, heart doctor. You know, there is a place, you know, when I became a coder, there's a surgical center that specializes in only heart caths in Alexandria. Well, I was a part of being one of the coders that helped set up the coding system there, so that we could get their claims paid. I actually had to meet with 6 doctors and an insurance panel because they wanted to argue with us about how things needed to be coded. How intimidated did you think I felt going into that? But I have a huge vocabulary. Not that I always use it, but I have a huge vocabulary. But I was able to go into that meeting and get the glyphs fixed so the doctors could be paid. Did I ever think in a million years that little old me living in Ball, Louisiana, just as country as I want to be, would be in front of a panel like that? Absolutely not. Could they tell that I was from the country? They could not, because all of a sudden that medical terminology mama comes out using my vocabulary. So you understand what I mean? You're going to be speaking, you may never speak to doctors, but I want to prepare you for wherever your career brings you. You don't have to stop where you start, right? I would hope that you would not stop where you start. And part of that is just having some basic knowledge, tools in your toolbox. Medical terminology is a huge tool in your toolbox. So any questions? Fairly easy class. I am so excited that I was able to show you where these were. And I showed you the video on purpose first so you could go, oh my gosh, this is so boring. How am I ever going to remember all of this? Mrs. Marsha, what are you doing to me? I'm going to go to sleep. I'm tired. Am I really coming to class for this? Well, just to show you that, no, you don't have to remember it all. There is a place to go to reference it. And when I tell you, the more you know about your manuals, the easier things are going to be for you. And you're going to hear me say it a million times. Get to know what's in your manuals. Label it like nobody's business, but do it in your way, because this is your book. I do it in my way. You do it in your way. You can look at how I have things labeled. This is my CPT. This is the ones they give you. And all the other pretty colorful ones are the ones I've added. And you better believe if I have tabbed it, it's because I have looked at it. Z codes. We're going to be going over those tomorrow. Do you know how you're going to get to know your Z codes and feel comfortable? Is when you get into that portion of your ICD-10 and you start reading through and circling and tabbing and just seeing what's there. Is it going to be fun always? I think it's fun, but I'm strange. So I love it. I find it very interesting to get in and to look to see where things are. The internal cause index. Victoria, I know, but we need to take the time to get in there and really just look at it and figure it out. So we're going to take the time to do those things. First, we're going to do Z codes. I'm going to try to make Victoria forget external causes. No, I'm actually going to ask another instructor that feels very confident in coding that portion of the CPT and ask her to come into class with us and help us out with that. So, and if there is nobody, we're going to tackle it ourselves, right? All right. If there's no more questions, I hope you
I
have.
have to work in the morning.
What, sweetheart?
I have to work in the morning, but I will be able to watch the recording too.
I'm going to record it and you know where it's going to be. I will record it and it will be on there. Okay. Have a great day. Victoria, I saw you do this. What is it?
You said we have a Quizlet?
Yeah, if you go and do you not have the link? I've emailed it out. So
I don't know if I've seen it though.
it's in like when I've emailed out like last week's choose medical terminology class, it was attached to that email. And I would say I would email it to you right now, but guess what? My email's not working on my computer. It's working on my phone, but it's not working on my computer, so I can't get the link from there. If you will share your email, Victoria, Abigail or Stacy, or can somebody email her the link to Quizlet, please?